Everyone wants more money, but most of us weren't taught how to create an abundant life. That's where the law of attraction, manifesting success stories show comes in. If you are ready to have more money, create more freedom, and experience more fun, turn the volume up. It's time to learn how to create the prosperity and life you have been dreaming of. Here's your host, Cassie Parks.
Hello and welcome to this episode. I am your host, Cassie Parks, and I'm back with Lainie Hodges. Welcome, Lainie, for another year of growth interview. I'm so excited.
So excited to be here. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Yes, we are recording this just a couple days into 2019. So tell us what's awesome.
What's awesome is that it's a new year. I'm really excited about that. It brings new energy, new opportunities, new everything. I really felt the shift from 2018 into 2019. And I'm ready to take everything that I learned in 2018 and all the growth that I experienced and apply it in 2019. So excited for just a really big year. I know it's going to be awesome for my business and my personal life and just everything. It's going to be exciting.
Yay. That's so awesome. I love it. How is the start of 2019 different than the start of 2018?
The start of 2019, I feel like I have more clarity in what's important to me. 2018 really gave me some challenging opportunities to get clarity around all those things. And I think that was why I went through some of the things that I went through, to see things more clearly, not only for myself and what I want, but I think see our world more clearly, people more clearly, institutions that I've been engaged with more clearly. So I feel like a lot of the wool was pulled away from the eyes and can see things more for what they are, which allows me to create more of what I want. Because I feel like I'm working more within reality to then create a greater reality for myself, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, I love it. So do you think like pulling that wool away allowed you to choose when it comes to your future self? How does that play into that? Give you the ability to sort of choose better and deeper? Or is it just help you see even the future clear?
Yeah, I think it helped me to see. I think there's a lot of places where I'm needed. I know there's a lot of places where my work is needed. I think I have more clarity now on who really wants it. And that makes a big difference when you are out there in the world doing your work. Sometimes it can feel like you're forcing something that ultimately is good and healthy for people to engage with, but you keep running into roadblocks. And that was my experience in a certain bucket of my business, and those roadblocks and my desire to kind of move away from that opened up other opportunities that I hadn't thought of before. And those are the places I'm going to be expanding into. One of the places I'll be expanding into more, because they really love what I do and want it there. And so going to the places where you are appreciated rather than the places where you're tolerated, I think is really important in your work.
It's hugely. And do you think that lesson has come, like it's easier to say like tolerated, I'm going to appreciate, like easier to make that shift now? Because it gotten easier I think what I'm asking is, has it gotten easier to see it quicker? Like, or do you feel like you still pushed through, or is it sort of ended that like, well, I'm going to keep trying this. I'm going to keep trying here. I'm going to keep trying here. Like, do you see it sooner?
Do I see it sooner? I think I can sort through things sooner or faster when an opportunity presents itself, or an idea. I think that's where the clarity has come in. Really handy is being able to, rather than be indecisive about something and evaluating it over and over and over again. Is it right? Is it wrong? I think I'm clear now, faster in that aspect.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's huge. That's cool. And so that has to do with like a recent opportunity, right? Like you got an opportunity to do part of your works in a certain capacity.
Yeah, I was offered, an opportunity just this morning there's a lot of dates that I could be working, and it's serving certainly people that need it. But when I looked at, does this really fit or align with where I'm trying to go in 2019, it didn't, for a number of reasons. But I also didn't feel like guilty turning this opportunity down, because I just was clear, like, this doesn't align with the vision of where I want to go. And I'm going to be uncompromising about that in 2019,
Mm-hmm.
because I believe if an opportunity like this shows up and I see that it's not in alignment and I turn it down, I think that opens up space for other things to come into my is important, and understanding too that no is a complete sentence.
Right. It is, isn't it? I love that. No is definitely a complete sentence, right?
It is.
Yeah. And so how is that shifted and changed and different than in the past?
In the past, I was grasping for anything that came my way,
Mm-hmm.
and not really questioning or checking in if it was exactly what I wanted to be doing. And I don't regret any opportunity that I took, because to me, it's always a learning experience, no matter what you do. But it's helped me to refine as
Mm-hmm.
continue to grow in my business and have these different experiences of, is this where I really want to be putting my efforts and my energy, or do I want to put it over here where I'm experiencing more joy and less frustration? And so for
Mm-hmm.
me, just following that, as you say, follow the feel good, tells you which way to go all the time, if you can just follow it.
Yes, right? Which brings me to my next question. I feel like you've had to build up that trust muscle because you're an entrepreneur. Like turning down, this is money on the table I know will be there,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so saying no to that and following your feel good, I think that's taken a lot of trust. That hasn't always been your automatic response, right?
No, absolutely not. So just continuing to work through growing into my future self, which is
Mm-hmm.
that trust muscle. And it's funny that you said that. I'm over here as my whiteboard, where I cleared it off and wrote down for 2019 what were some of my words that I wanted to focus on, or the energy I wanted to focus on, and trust is on there. So that's a big focus for me in 2019. And that's not just in my business, that's in just trusting the way things are going, even when it's
Mm-hmm.
not the way that I planned.
Mm-hmm.
Because usually when things don't go the way I planned or am pushing for, it's because there's a better way.
Yeah, absolutely. Which some better ways have like definitely opened up for you recently, right?
They certainly have, yes. Just kept plugging away and
Right.
believing again in that vision.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, opportunities are opening up because I am so committed to that vision.
Yeah. And I love that because so you have an opportunity to present at a big conference and be not just a presenter, but sort of in charge and lead the whole thing.
Yeah, really
Yeah.
exciting opportunity. Had a planning call with them yesterday. So discussing how much time I need to do my pieces of the conference. And it's an opportunity that I've been looking to participate in for since I started my business.
Mm-hmm.
So that's this summer will be 5 years in
Mm-hmm.
my business. And it's an opportunity in a male dominated industry.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's not only a big deal that they're bringing improv into their conference, but it's also a big deal that they're bringing a woman in to
Mm-hmm.
facilitate this. So I'm proud of them for taking
Yes.
a leap on something that is considered a little bit radical in a
Mm-hmm.
lot of circles, and especially in professional athletics,
Yeah.
who can be awfully conservative. So I'm really just excited to show them what my skills and what the tool of improv can bring to all of their teams and to their organization as a whole. And it's a catalyst for so many other doors to open. So I'm
Yeah.
really excited about leveraging that and taking that to other sports leagues, because I know and believe again in that vision that this is something that can create radical transformation in a lot of different spaces. So this is just a huge door that's opening. And I'm so excited to see what comes of it. It's going to be awesome.
It is going to be awesome. And I remember we were on a call and you said something and I was like, we scripted that 3 years ago. Like you're like, this is what's going to make this happen. And I'm like, we scripted that, and 100% believe it. But it's so fun to see that. I think you're in a place that happens to a lot of people where like you lay this foundation and then there comes all this work that has to be done. You have to go through a couple things. And then you start to see like all the things coming in.
Yeah.
Which is super fun. And I'm sure that in some ways you can look back now and know why you're ready in this moment for that big of an opportunity.
Right. Yeah. I think it's interesting when just in life and particularly in entrepreneurship, I think we want everything, right? But what we sometimes don't understand is that it's not always going to happen on the timeline we want it to happen. So actually, it's probably not going to happen on the timeline you would like it to happen.
Right.
But I think it happens in the timeline that it's supposed to happen. And I think for certainly, a year ago, while I was very close to having this opportunity a year ago, it didn't pan out. And I think that who that person was then is a very different person than who's going to show up in February at this conference. So I think my confidence has grown in what I do, my belief in myself, my vision, more solid foundation of exactly what I do through some other trainings that I've done. So all of this was preparing me for this now. And I trust that this is all right on time.
Of course. Well, I think it's all right on. This is where you can get the most benefit, right? Like you could have gotten this opportunity 3 years ago and it would have been awesome, but it might not be as awesome as it's going to be because the woman who shows up today to lead that conference or in a couple months, like she's way different. Like she's ready for big time. She's gone through the things that she needs to do to show up in the male dominated space in, just being ready. I feel like you're like so ready, like you could just fire off anything.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Which I love that. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I had a follow-up question to that I just forgot.
I'm also excited. It aligns with some other scripting that I've been doing. It's at a very nice resort down in Scottsdale. So I don't have to actually work a lot. My sessions are relatively short, which means I just have a lot of time in the day to enjoy the resort.
Yes, which is exactly what's in your script, right?
Yeah.
So it's everybody's biggest question, but like, shouldn't I be scripting my work? Like, no, you got that. Like, you know how to do that. Like, let's script that you know how to enjoy the rest of it, right?
Yes.
And that you're there. And I love that.
Yes.
And you totally reminded me of my question. So thank you. It was going to be, how do you bring your future self? Like, do you call on her? Do you bring her into these conversations? Do you see her show up in certain moments? I think it's a little bit different for everybody when they do that.
I see her showing up more in calls, particularly just thinking about the call I had with the person who was previously in charge of running this conference a year ago, just in terms of how I showed up for the call with the new person. This time was, I'm not going to say night and day. It wasn't that different, but I was more confident this time and could very clearly explain what I do and how that's going to support their work, so that it was a very easy yes for them to make this time. And I felt like last time it was really trying to convince them that what I had was great. And this time it was just clear.
Yeah.
So it was a very fast yes and an enthusiastic yes. And my future self, I definitely brought into that phone call. I think what's also important is I take some time every morning in my meditation to just focus, to settle my mind. My mind races and it's always going. So that morning quiet time when it's still kind of dark outside and just having that time to slow down my brain and just be really present and listen for the whispers and connect to the world around me has been really important. And I think that's a space where I connect to my future self. And then I'm also much better about taking a few minutes before a call, before a meeting, before an event to just center and process and call her in before going into that space to facilitate something.
Nice. That's awesome. What's the biggest, as you've worked with her, because you're one of the first people who's gotten to go through, there's a new program. It's more step-by-step with your future self. And so what have you learned or experienced along the way going through the different exercises?
I've definitely experienced that it's getting easier.
Yeah.
To just move through the exercises, to script, to create, to envision what I want really being in my reality. I think before it felt like these are nice things that I want, but maybe not too attainable. And I don't have that limiting belief in my way anymore. I can really see these things happening and experience them in different ways. Just even putting together my vision board for this year, it's over there on the table.
Oh, yay.
It's even that process is a lot easier in sorting through things that I've cut out. Like, is this in alignment with what I want for 2019? And saying like, well, that's not quite it. I would like something a little different, or a picture of this as opposed to the word. Even organizing the words, like all of that is just becoming a lot clearer for me, rather than, I think in the past it was just sort of like, here's hoping.
Right. Just gonna put all these things I want on a board.
Yeah.
Totally get it. Yeah.
If I put it down, maybe it'll happen.
Right. It can't happen if I don't ask. So I'm just gonna put it down, right?
Yeah.
I love it. Do you want to share your total manifested for 2018?
Yeah. So in 2018, I manifested $40,788.27.
Woohoo!
Yeah.
Yay. How does that feel?
It's incredible to look at those numbers and just see really how abundant life is when you can look at it through a lot of different lenses. It's not just about the income that you bring in to your business or through whatever your job is, but there's so many other ways that you are supported abundantly. And it's a fun, game, if you will, to play, to track these things. And so, I've already got my tracker going for 2019, and there's a couple of items in there already.
Yay.
So
that's awesome.
Yeah, just enough I'm looking forward to breaking this record. Let's just double it.
Right. Absolutely.
2019.
I'm sure we will be having the conversation about it doubling way before the end of the year. Yeah. I love it. What do you think is the biggest shift in yourself since you joined the Enchanted Circle?
Biggest shift. I think I feel more grounded and clear, back to that clarity piece.
Yeah.
About who I am, who I want to be, what kind of life I want to be living, who's a part of that, what does that look like, what does that feel like? And so I think it's easier for me to put myself in environments or situations where I'm activating that. And then, that doesn't mean that I feel like that all the time.
Right.
There are moments when I don't. However, I think the Enchanted Circle has helped me to process those times rather than fighting them off. I think before I would try and deny the feelings that I was having, but it's an invitation to do some work and to process and learn. And I think the Enchanted Circle has helped me to move through those spaces so I can get back to the feel good faster.
I love that. So talk about how you choose what you're activating. Like you said, being around the people and the places that activate, so you just talk a little bit more about that.
Yeah, I have, I'm again on my board, my focus is joy, peace, relaxation, trust. So finding ways to engage in those emotions now, which a lot of those I can just do in my home.
Right.
Because I have a beautiful home and love being in it. And so I can experience joy by putting on, my fun playlist. I can experience peace by just sitting in my apartment and having a cup of coffee or reading a book. Relaxation by just sitting and watching House Hunters International and imagining that life. And for when I'm going to be on House Hunters International.
Yes.
So I also have my home is a space that feeds all of my vision and my dream. And it's a great sanctuary for me. But then there's also places outside of my home where I can activate these things as well, just by who I have in my network. And I'm in a relationship that brings me a lot of joy now, and that's a great way to activate it.
Yeah, totally.
And just taking the time whenever a moment arises where I'm feeling good to recognize it and honor it and ask for more.
Yeah. I love that. Does this, like when you do your quote LOA work, which I would say that's LOA work, is it easier than it was in the past?
Everything has gotten easier than it was in the past. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I just think there's less resistance in the form of belief.
Say more.
You have to believe in order to see. And so I think I could say that I believe things were possible, but ultimately I don't know that I truly did believe they were possible. So I think that's been a big shift through the Enchanted Circle and working with you and the other women and the scripting and just really feeling into what is possible and feeling that if I can create this here, either through scripting or through putting myself in environments that activate those feelings, it's bringing it closer to me and showing me, what's possible. That evidence piece has been really important too, of just tracking like what's popping up in your world that's showing you that these things are on their way. And there's been a ton of that. So
I love that.
Yeah.
Cool. I love that. I think that's a great note to end on, unless you have any other advice for somebody who's looking to believe more or make it easier.
I would just say, especially tied to this opportunity with this conference, you just keep pushing towards your vision, or moving, let me rephrase, moving towards the vision and refining the vision and getting clarity and continuing to try, because again, it might not happen on the timeline that you want, but it can still happen. So I know that entrepreneurship can be frustrating sometimes. And so for anyone who's in one of those spaces of feeling frustrated, I would just say, like, keep going, keep trying, keep doing your work, and you never know when an opportunity can finally break. So don't give up.
I love it. I love it. And tell people how they can connect with you and your amazing work.
So you can reach me at my website, which is www.improvalchemy.com. So IMPROVALCHEMY, improvalchemy.com. When people see it spelled out, they always mispronounce it. So improvalchemy.com. So you can reach me there. That tells more about my services, and you can contact me there as well. And you can also reach me on Facebook at Improv Alchemy. That's also my business page. So if you're looking for, it's 2019, and I think a lot of organizations might be looking for ways to kind of shake things up with their crew or their team or ensemble, just to do something different. Improv is one of the best tools out there. So if you want to try something fun and challenging, but in a really rewarding way, improv is, something I highly recommend. So reach out if you want to give it a try in 2019.
I love it. Thank you, Lainie, for being here. And thank you all for listening. Make sure to see what else is awesome in Lainie's next interview.
Thank you for joining us on the Law of Attraction Manifesting Success Stories show. To learn more about enrolling in the Enchanted Circle, go to cassieparks.com.